Let's look at some sound. First, from Governor Rick Perry redoing some hand and arm movements that'll be familiar to people who watched him in 2012.
You fast forward 10 years to 1989, and we saw the Berlin Wall fall, the end of Soviet communism, because we had rebuilt our military, and a president had the vision to rebuild this country. And we can do that again. This is an incredibly resilient country. We've lived through a civil war. We've lived through 2 world wars. We've lived through a Great Depression. We lived through Jimmy Carter. We'll live through Barack Obama. I promise you. We will do this.
It's funny when you watch it without sound.
And here's another bit of Rick Perry from this morning, again, reminiscent of the way he performed on the stump last time around.
2 things are abundantly clear to me. 1, America is at a time of testing, and our leaders are failing the test. And number 2, in response to the many crises that we are seeing around the world, that we're experiencing in the world today, both at home and abroad, I might add, the conservative movement must be the agent of reform.
So, Heidi, I'm a big fan of Rick Perry personally. I like the guy, and I think his chances are pretty good. But this performance, the manic waving and the kind of gothic, serious, southern thing, that is only reminding people in New Hampshire what he was like last time. I don't think he can win if he performs like that. And he was like that for most of his performance today.
You know, I'm going to disagree a little bit with you here, just because I think that Rick Perry, if he can, yes, I agree with you on the whole like traffic cop thing he's got going on. But if he can get rid of that, if he can get rid of the arm waving, you just listen to the oration, he's a pretty good speaker. At the same time, the bar is so high for him, given what happened in the last cycle, the oops moments, and just the impression of him.
But I say this over and over. That guy, I interviewed him on the program a few weeks ago. That's not what he was like. He has to be able to give a speech to have people think anew about him. When he talks like that, they think the opposite of anew. They think of old. They think of the old Rick Perry from 2012, who was a loser as a presidential candidate. So I just amazed, and I know his supporters don't like me to say this. I didn't give him a very good grade, but I just think that performance style will not get him the second look that he needs to try to be the nominee. All right, Governor Christie spoke today and was very strong on these themes of being a leader, being a truth teller, and being somebody who can get stuff done. Let's listen to a bit of Chris Christie.
Everybody who's considering running for President of the United States should have to answer for you what they're going to do regarding the cost of entitlement programs in our country and how they're going to make it fair for everybody, not just for one generation, but for all generations. You'll notice that the president hasn't talked about this for 8 years. From the day he announced in 2007 to this very day, he doesn't talk about it. The reason he doesn't talk about it is because there's not some short, pithy answer that you can read off a teleprompter to tell you what to do. I am opposed to government waste, okay? That is a bold, wild statement, isn't it? What amazing leadership I just showed by saying I'm against government waste and I want to cut it. Anybody who comes up here and says that, boo them off the stage. Boo them off the stage. Because, of course, everybody's opposed to government waste, and of course you're going to do the best you can to try to cut it. And then after that, then it's time to get to work.
You know, as Christie tries to struggle back here, I think in today and in his appearances in this state earlier in the week, I think he's got pretty perfect pitch on being confident, because that's going to be part of any winning Christie style and message, but not arrogant, not suggesting to people that he knows it all or he thinks he's in some ways still a top-tier candidate, because he's not. There's a lot of skepticism in that room about Chris Christie still.
The style is there. It's the substance. Again, he launched in on this pitch on Social Security and Medicare, and I didn't get the sense that this was resonating, and he himself said this is politically risky, and we'll see, I guess, time will tell whether this works. And of course, one of the questions was about cutting the debt, and can't you just cut more from the government? Don't go after my Social Security. And so this, I think, is showing just what a risk this is for him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do the details today, which I thought he might, of his plan to deal with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. He just said, I got a plan. We'll see if he keeps that up, but so far it's what he's going with.